For generations, World War II has been told through battles, strategies, and massive troop movements. We've studied offensives, memorized decisive dates, analyzed tactics. But rarely have we stopped to read the words written with trembling hands by ordinary men, far from home, entrusting to paper the thoughts they would never dare to speak aloud. This is not a story of military glory. Here you will find only raw letters written in trenches, bunkers, field hospitals, and prisons. Letters that often never reach their destination. Letters found in the pockets of uniforms stained with mud and blood, recovered from forgotten archives, kept for decades by families who waited in vain for their loved ones to return. These are words that rise from the silence of history, voices that cry out across the years, testimonies of what war truly means when rhetoric collapses and only bare humanity remains before horror. First letter. Hans Müller, the soldier of Stalingrad. Hans Müller was 23 years old, originally from Dresden, and served as a corporal in the 71st Infantry Division of the Wehrmacht. In November 1942, he found himself trapped in the Soviet encirclement of Stalingrad. This letter was found in 1943 by a Red Army soldier in a basement of the city, next to Müller's frozen body. The letter was never sent. It was preserved in Soviet military archives and made public only in the 1990s. Stalingrad, December 18, 1942. Dear Mother, I'm writing this letter knowing you'll probably never receive it. The last mail went out weeks ago, and I doubt there will be any more. But I need to write. I need to talk to you, even if you're 2,000 kilometers away, even if these words will die here with me. It's so cold, Mother. A kind of cold I never knew. It's not like winter in Dresden when we'd come home and you'd make hot tea by the stove. Here the cold is an enemy you can't fight. It seeps into your bones, makes you fall asleep and never wake up again. This morning, 2 boys from my squad didn't wake up. They were frozen. We left them there. We didn't even have the strength to bury them. Do you remember when I left in 41? I was so proud of my uniform, so sure I'd be home for Christmas as a hero. How foolish I was. How foolish we all were. There's nothing heroic about what we do here. We kill and try not to be killed. We eat whatever little we can find and pray to see another day. We have no real food left. Yesterday, I ate a piece of bread so hard it made my gums bleed. I shared it with Karl, the boy from Hamburg. He was 15 when he enlisted, lying about his age. Now he's 17 but looks 50. His eyes are empty. Like mine, I suppose. I miss you so much. I miss your voice, your embrace, the smell of your cooking. I miss being your son and not this. I don't even know what I've become. A ghost in uniform, maybe. A corpse still breathing. The commander tells us we'll hold out, that reinforcements are coming, that victory is near. But I see his eyes when he speaks. He doesn't believe it either. We're trapped here, and everyone knows it. The Soviet circle tightens every day. Soon there will be nothing left to defend, only ruins full of the dead. Sometimes I wonder why we came here. What were we looking for in this cursed city? Glory, conquest, ideals? Now it all seems so distant, so absurd. I see only snow stained with blood, collapsing buildings, faces of boys dying as they call for their mothers. I often think of Father. He died when I was 12, I know, but sometimes I wonder what he'd say if he saw me now. Would he be proud or just ashamed? I'll never know. Mother, if by some miracle this letter reaches you, I want you to know I tried to be brave. I tried to do my duty. But above all, I tried to remain human. In this hell, that's the hardest thing of all. Don't cry for me, or rather cry, but then move on. Live for both of us. Watch the sun rise over Dresden and remember that once there was a boy who loved walking with you along the Elbe, who stole cookies from the pantry, who made you laugh with his nonsense. That boy still exists somewhere inside this frozen body. And when I close my eyes for the last time, it will be your face I see. It will be your voice I hear. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough not to be afraid. I love you, Mother. Forgive me for leaving. Forgive me for not coming back. Your son, Hans. Second letter. James O'Connor, the Marine of Iwo Jima. James O'Connor, 22 years old, from Boston, Massachusetts, was a Marine of the 28th Regiment, 5th Marine Division. He took part in the Battle of Iwo Jima in February 1945, one of the bloodiest in the Pacific Theater. This letter was written during the fourth night of the battle and found in O'Connor's backpack after he was mortally wounded by Japanese machine gun fire. His body was recovered on February 25, 1945. The letter was delivered to his family in 1946. Iwo Jima, February 23, 1945. Dear Sarah, it's the fourth night on this island, and I already feel I won't make it out alive. It's not pessimism, it's just a feeling. Like when you know it's going to rain because the air changes. The air here smells of sulfur, blood, and death. Today we took Mount Suribachi. The boys raised the flag at the top and everyone cheered. They said it's a historic moment, that America will remember this day forever. But I was down on the beach, helping load the wounded onto boats. I saw so many, Sarah. Boys with their legs blown off, faces burned, wounds I can't even describe. And they kept saying, thank you for saving me. But I didn't save anyone. I just moved dying bodies from one place to another. Do you remember when we met at the school dance? I was so nervous I spilled punch on your dress. You laughed instead of getting angry. You said you were happy someone finally had the courage to talk to you. From that moment, I knew I'd marry you. And I did, 2 months before leaving for the Pacific, the happiest day of my life. I'm sorry our honeymoon lasted only a week. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you found out you were pregnant. I'm sorry I'll never meet our child, or our daughter. I hope it's a girl. I hope she has your green eyes and your smile. And I hope she never remembers me, because I don't want her to carry the memory of a man who died on an island on the other side of the world for reasons I no longer understand. The Japanese don't surrender, Sarah. They fight from underground tunnels, pop out when you least expect it, throw grenades, then vanish. It's like fighting ghosts. This morning, a boy from my squad, Tommy, was killed by a Japanese soldier pretending to be dead. He jumped on him with a knife. Tommy was 19. He came from a farm in Iowa. He'd shown me pictures of his family the night before. Now he's just another body in the black sand of this cursed island. Sometimes I wonder if the Japanese are as scared as we are. If they write letters to their wives and mothers. If they think of home while they shoot. Probably yes. After all, we're all the same, aren't we? Just frightened boys trying to survive a war we didn't start. Night is the worst part. During the day, at least, you see the enemy. At night, every sound is a threat. The wind moving the sand sounds like footsteps coming closer. The sea crashing on the rocks sounds like distant explosions. You never really sleep. You close your eyes for a few minutes, then wake up suddenly, heart pounding so hard you think it's going to burst. I'm scared, Sarah. Not of dying. That's almost acceptable now. I'm scared of dying without meaning. I'm scared of becoming just a name on a list, a number in a military report. I'm scared our child will grow up wondering what his father was like and no one will truly be able to tell him. If I don't come back, I want you to know a few things. I want you to live. Don't spend the rest of your life waiting for a ghost. Marry again if you find someone who makes you happy. Give our child a father who can raise him, teach him to play baseball, take him fishing, all the things I wish I could have done. And tell him about me. Tell him I tried to be brave even when I was terrified. Tell him the last thing I thought of before dying was his face, even though I never saw it. Because I imagine he has your eyes. I have to go now. In an hour, the offensive toward the center of the island resumes. They say it may take weeks to take it all. I don't know if I'll still be here in weeks. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. But I know I love you. I know it as surely as I know the sun will rise tomorrow morning. And maybe that's enough. Maybe love is the only thing that survives when everything else dies. Forever yours, James. Third letter, Yuri Volkov, the soldier of the Red Army. Yuri Volkov, 27 years old, from Moscow, was a sergeant in an infantry unit of the Red Army. In January 1945, he took part in the Vistula-Oder offensive that carried Soviet forces through Poland toward Germany. This letter was written shortly before the crossing of the Oder River and was found in his backpack after he was killed by a German sniper near Berlin the following April. The letter never reached its recipient. Poland, January 30th, 1945. My dear Natasha, it's been 3 years since we last saw each other. 3 years that feel like 30. I wonder if you would still recognize me. The boy who left Moscow in 42 no longer exists. In his place, there is an aged, worn-out man who has seen things no human being should ever see. We're advancing westward. Every day we gain new ground, we cross devastated villages, we see the consequences of 4 years of Nazi occupation, and every day I feel the weight of this war becoming harder to bear. You asked me in your last letter if I have ever killed someone. I didn't answer because I didn't want to lie to you, and I didn't want to tell you the truth either. But now I feel I must be honest. Yes, Natasha, I have killed. I have killed men who were shooting at me. I have killed men trying to kill my comrades, and every time I pull the trigger, a piece of me dies with them. I am no longer the man you fell in love with, the one who wrote poems and brought you flowers, the one who dreamed of becoming a teacher and having a house with a garden where our children would grow. That man died somewhere between Stalingrad and Kursk. I don't even know exactly when. It was gradual, like a disease that consumes you from within. We've passed through Polish villages where the Nazis massacred entire populations. I've seen mass graves with hundreds of bodies, men, women, children. Some were executed, others starved to death, and others, I'd rather not describe how they died. When you see these things, when you see them with your own eyes, you understand why we fight. Not for Stalin, not for communism, but to stop this madness. But here's the problem, Natasha. When you fight monsters, you risk becoming one yourself. I've seen my comrades do terrible things. I've seen revenge, summary executions, violence I can't even name. And I watched. I watched and did nothing to stop them. What makes me any different from them? I wake up every night screaming. I dream of the faces of those I killed. I dream of my dead comrades. I dream of Stalingrad, where we fought for months among the ruins, where the cold killed more than the bullets. I dream of Kursk, where the German tanks advanced like waves of steel, and we stopped them with our bodies. Vasily died 2 days ago. Do you remember I told you about him? He was from our neighborhood in Moscow. We grew up together, went to the same school, enlisted the same day. He survived 3 years of war. Then a mortar shell hit him as we crossed a field. He died instantly. The only consolation is that he didn't suffer. But I suffer for him. I suffer because I know I'll have to write to his parents and tell them their son died heroically for the motherland. But the truth is, he died randomly, needlessly, stupidly, like everyone dies in war. Soon we will cross the Oder River. Beyond it lies Germany. Berlin is less than 100 kilometers away. They tell us the war will end soon, that Hitler is surrounded, that victory is near. But how many of us will live long enough to see it? How many will return home? And of those who return, how many will still be human? Natasha, I'm so afraid. Not of dying, that's almost acceptable now. I'm afraid of coming home and no longer being able to love. I'm afraid of looking at you and seeing only a stranger. I'm afraid of holding our children and feeling nothing but emptiness. The war has hollowed me out, and I don't know if I'll ever be full again. But I keep fighting. Because someone has to stop the Nazis. Because my dead comrades deserve that I finish what we started together. And because, deep in my exhausted heart, there's still a small spark of hope that maybe one day I'll come back to you and start living again. I love you, Natasha. I've always loved you. And if I don't come back, know that every day of this war I've fought thinking of you. Your face was my strength. Your love was my salvation. And when I close my eyes for the last time, it will be you I see. Forever yours, Yuri. Fourth letter, Antonio Rossi, the Italian soldier in Russia. Antonio Rossi, 31 years old, from Naples, was a corporal major in the Italian Expeditionary Corps in Russia, later renamed Armir. In January 1943, he was on the Don front during the disastrous Italian retreat from Russia. This letter was written during that retreat and was found in 1946 in a Russian village by a local inhabitant who handed it to the authorities. It reached the Rossi family only in 1952. Russian steppe, January 26, 1943. Dear Lucia, I don't know if this letter will ever reach you. I don't even know if I'll be alive tomorrow morning. But I must write. I must tell you what's happening here, even if maybe you shouldn't know it, even if it might break your heart. We are retreating, or rather, we are fleeing. The Red Army has broken through our lines, and now we are scattered across the steppe, without orders, without supplies, without hope. We've been walking for days in the freezing cold, with our boots falling apart, our uniforms too thin, our stomachs empty. The cold here is something you can't imagine, Lucia. You who were born and raised in Naples, where even in winter there is sun. Here the cold enters your bones and consumes you. I've lost 3 toes to frostbite. The medic cut them off with a dirty knife. I cried like a child, but not for the pain. I cried because I realized I'll never dance with you again in our neighborhood square. Of the 60 men in my company, only 12 of us are left. The others are dead. Some frozen, some killed by the Russians, others simply vanished into the snow. Giorgio, the one from Salerno I mentioned in my letters, died 3 days ago. He sat down in the snow and said he was too tired to go on. We told him to get up, we begged him, but he just smiled and closed his eyes. When we touched him, he was already hard as stone. We eat snow. Sometimes we find a dead horse abandoned and cut it into pieces. We eat the raw meat because we can't light fires. The Russians are chasing us. If they see smoke, they find us and kill us. Some of our men have surrendered. They prefer Soviet captivity to this march of death. I keep walking because I think of you. I think of your dark eyes, your smile, your voice singing while you hang clothes in the sun. I'm sorry I came here, Lucia. I'm sorry I believed the promises, believed we were doing something right. There is nothing right in this war. It's only slaughter, cold, and despair. They sent us to die in a land that isn't ours, for a cause we don't understand, in the service of men who don't care about us. I often think of home, of our narrow alley where we played as children, of the sea visible from your window, of the pizza your mother made on Sundays, of the smell of coffee in the morning, of all the little things I took for granted that now seem like unreachable paradises. If I return, Lucia, I'll be a different man. I've seen things no one should see. I've done things I'm ashamed of. I've left comrades to die because I couldn't help them. I've stolen bread from a dying man because I was hungry. I've become an animal fighting only to survive. But deep in my heart, in the part the cold hasn't yet frozen, there's you. Your love is the only thing keeping me human. Every step I take in this cursed snow, I take thinking that maybe one day those steps will bring me back to you. Night is the worst part. We camp in the snow. We huddle together like animals to stay warm. But some don't wake up. They just fall asleep and never get up again. Last night it was Michel, the one from Bari. This morning he was cold. We left him there. We didn't even have the strength to bury him. May God forgive me. Lucia, if I don't return, I want you to know that I loved you every single day of this war. I want you to live, to be happy, to not waste your life waiting for a dead man. Find someone who loves you, marry him, have children, watch them grow, live for both of us. And if by some miracle I do return, wait for me. Wait for me at the port as you promised. I'll be the one with the torn uniform, the unshaven beard, the empty gaze. But it will be me. And when I hold you in my arms finally, I'll be able to forget this hell. I love you, my love. Yesterday, today, always. Yours, Antonio.
Fifth letter. Friedrich Weber, the German pilot. Friedrich Weber, 24 years old, from Munich, was a fighter pilot in the Luftwaffe. He flew a Messerschmitt Bf 109 in 1944 during Germany's air defense against Allied bombers. This letter was written at his base in Germany after a particularly traumatic mission. It was found in his room after his plane was shot down over Berlin in March 1945. Weber did not survive. Rechlin Air Base, August 15, 1944. Dear Greta, I've just finished a mission. My hands are still trembling as I write. Not from fear. I've grown used to that. They tremble because of something I saw today, something I can't get out of my mind. We intercepted a formation of American bombers over Brandenburg. Enormous flying fortresses, they call them B-17, they flew in tight formation, heading to bomb Berlin. The sky was full of them, hundreds, with fighter escorts protecting them. We climbed to attack. I and 8 other pilots against that mass of steel. The bombers' machine guns opened fire, the sky filled with tracers. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like deadly fireworks. I managed to shoot down a B-17. I hit its right engine. It caught fire and began to fall. It should have been a moment of victory. My comrades shouted congratulations over the radio, but I watched that plane fall and saw the parachutes open. 1, 2, 3, 7 in total. 7 men jumping from a burning plane. One parachute didn't open. I saw the body fall, spinning through the air like a leaf. He died before hitting the ground, I'm sure. But I saw him. I saw a man die because of me. The other 6 landed in the fields below us. Some were wounded. One had his parachute on fire. I landed too, to see if the soldiers on the ground had captured them. And I saw them. Greta. 6 American boys, some younger than me. One was crying. Another was screaming in pain from a broken leg. A third looked at me with eyes full of fear and hatred. That look hit me harder than any bullet, because I understood something. They're no different from me. They're just boys sent to fight a war they didn't choose. They think they're doing the right thing, just as I once thought. But there's nothing right about any of this. I started as a pilot believing in the glory of flight, in the honor of the Luftwaffe. I dreamed of chivalrous duels in the sky like in the Great War. But this isn't a chivalrous war. It's industrial slaughter, bombers leveling entire cities, fighters strafing helpless parachutists. No honor, only death. I've lost too many friends. Werner died last month, shot down over Hamburg. Klaus disappeared on a mission over Berlin. Helmut was captured after crash landing in enemy territory. Of the 24 pilots who made up my squadron when I arrived, 8 remain. 8 out of 24 in 6 months. Every time I take off, I know it could be the last. The fuel is scarce, spare parts impossible to find. Replacement pilots have barely 20 flight hours. We fly battered planes against an enemy that owns the skies. It's suicide disguised as duty. But I can't stop. I can't say enough. Because if we don't fly, who will protect our cities? Who will stop the bombers that drop tons of explosives on houses where children sleep? I saw Hamburg after the bombings. It was no longer a city, just a smoking crater. Thousands dead, maybe 100,000, burned alive by incendiary bombs. Greta, I'm so afraid. Not of dying in the physical sense. I've made peace with that. I'm afraid of losing what's left of my humanity. I'm afraid of becoming just a machine that kills, feeling nothing. I'm afraid that one day I'll look at the sky and see no beauty in it anymore, only a battlefield. Do you remember when we met at the Christmas party in 41? You wore that blue dress and I spilled punch on your shoe. We talked all night. You made me laugh more than I had in months. When I kissed you under the mistletoe, I thought that was happiness. Pure, simple, real. I hold on to that memory. When I'm up there, 10,000 meters high with the cold cutting through the cockpit and my heart beating so hard it hurts, I think of you. I think of that night. And for a moment, just a moment, I forget where I am. I don't know how much longer this war will last. The official news speaks of imminent victory, but I see the truth. We lose ground every day. The Russians advance from the east, the Allies from the west. Germany is shrinking like a piece of paper burning, and we pilots are the last defenders of something that may no longer be worth defending. If I don't return, and the odds are against me, I want you to know that every second with you was worth a lifetime. I want you to live, to love again, to not let my death destroy you. You are too precious to waste your life on a ghost. But if by some miracle I survive this madness, I will find you. No matter where you are, I will find you. And we'll start again from where we left off. That Christmas night, that kiss under the mistletoe, that silent promise we made without words. The sky is calling me again. Every word written by these soldiers was a fragment of hope, a piece of home trying to survive amid the cold, the snow, and the distant sound of gunfire. Today, decades later, these letters ask only one thing of us: to remember. Not to feed hatred, but to remind us how fragile peace is and how precious life remains.
Because behind every uniform, there was a son, a father, a man who only wished to go home. And perhaps the true silence of war isn't the one that falls after the last shot, but the one that lingers in the hearts of those who read these words, realizing that history isn't so distant from us after all.